You know, for more than 40 years, the Islamic Republic of Iran has seen it all. Wars, sanctions, you name it. But what's happening right now? Well, a lot of experts are saying this is different. They're calling it the most serious crisis the regime has ever faced. So, let's get into it.
And this isn't just hype. I mean, listen to this quote. A U.S. senator said this is the biggest moment for change since the fall of the Berlin Wall. That's huge. What we're seeing is this perfect storm, really. You've got pressure coming from the streets, from outside the country, and even from inside the regime itself. All of it could be pushing the Islamic Republic towards a total collapse. So the big question is, how on earth did we get here?
All right, first up, the fire on the streets. If you really want to get why this moment feels so different, you have to start with the people. The anger we're seeing today, well, it's been building for a long, long time.
Take a look at this timeline. It really tells the story, doesn't it? According to journalist Roya Hakian, this isn't some new thing. The dissent started almost right after the 1979 revolution. Think about it. Back then, women were already chanting, "We did not make a revolution to go backward." Then you have the Green Movement in 2009 over a rigged election, and of course, the Woman Life Freedom Movement in 2022 that just exploded. Each one of these was like a wave, building on the one before it, leading us right to this moment.
And this right here, this shows you everything you need to know about that shift. In 2009, the slogan was, "Where is my vote?" People were essentially saying, hey, we believe in the system, we just want it to work properly. They wanted reform. Fast forward to today, the slogan is, death to the dictator. There's no room for interpretation there, right? The conversation about reform is over. This is a total rejection of the entire regime, top to bottom. So why is this time so different? It's not just about slogans. There are three huge changes. First, the bazaris, the merchant class. These guys were basically the financial engine of the 1979 revolution, and now they've flipped. They're joining the protests. Second, look at who's protesting. It's not just one group anymore. It's everyone, all classes, all ages, all ethnicities. And third, and this might be the biggest one, the regime has broken its one core promise, to keep people safe. And that broken promise, that's the perfect way to get into our next point, the pressure coming from the outside.
Okay, Section 2, pressure from the outside. Yeah, that broken promise of security we just talked about, it's a huge deal. It directly connects to the second major source of pressure, this immense force coming from beyond Iran's borders that's making the regime weaker and the protesters bolder.
For decades, this was the regime's whole sales pitch. After the absolute trauma of the Iran-Iraq War, their claim to legitimacy was their military might. The message to their people was basically, look, things might not be perfect, but no matter what, we can protect you from foreign enemies. That was their one non-negotiable guarantee.
And then that guarantee just evaporated. This quote from Roya Hakian really nails it. When Israeli strikes took out top Revolutionary Guard commanders and the regime couldn't really do anything about it, it was a massive public humiliation. For everyday Iranians, it was like a spell was broken. The thinking became, if they can't even do that one thing, what are they good for?
And as if that humiliation wasn't enough, you also have the United States playing a very strategic game here. And no, we're not talking about an invasion. It's something much more systematic, a plan to weaken the regime's grip on power from every angle.
So what's the plan? Well, according to retired four-star General Jack Keane, it's a four-part strategy designed to put the regime on a pathway to collapse. Step 1 is economic. Choke off their oil money. Step 2 is cyber. Mess with their command and control, their ability to spy on their own citizens. Step 3 is about information. Help the protesters communicate with each other and try to sow division within the security forces. And Step 4, well, that's the kinetic option, keeping the threat of direct military strikes on regime leaders on the table. The goal here isn't to knock them over in one punch, but to weaken them until they reach a breaking point.
All right, so we've got fire in the streets and pressure from abroad. But here's the twist. The final fatal blow might not come from the outside at all. In fact, many analysts think the most likely way this whole thing comes crashing down is from the inside.
Yeah, one analyst, Afshan Ostavar, makes a really compelling case that the most plausible path to the regime's fall is actually a coup. As the regime gets weaker and weaker, people on the inside, the ambitious ones, are going to start thinking about saving their own skin. And the really scary part? From the outside, it'll look like business as usual, right up until the moment it all breaks. It'll happen, as they say, gradually, and then all at once.
And if there's going to be a coup, you can bet the IRGC will be at the center of it. I mean, these guys are the most powerful branch of the Iranian military. They're the guardians of the whole system. But here's the paradox.
They also have the most to lose if the system collapses in some kind of popular revolution. So you can see the calculation, right? If they start to think the supreme leader is losing control, they might just decide to take over themselves purely to protect their own power and influence. But here's where it gets really interesting. The IRGC isn't one big happy family. There's a major split, a generational divide. On one side, you have the old guard. These are the original revolutionaries, super loyal to the ideology. But they might be willing to cut a deal on foreign policy just to get sanctions lifted and protect their fortunes. Then you have the younger officers. These guys are more nationalistic, hardened by recent wars, and way more ambitious. They might be willing to ditch all the religious rules, but they'd likely double down on military power. A coup led by one group would create a very different Iran than a coup led by the other.
So, let's pull this all together. You've got popular rage boiling over, you've got intense external pressure, and you've got these deep cracks forming from within. This combustible mix makes the future incredibly uncertain. There are a few very different ways this could all play out.
So what are the options on the table? Scenario 1. Nothing changes. The regime just uses more and more violent suppression to hold on. Scenario 2. The old guard stages a coup. You'd get a state that's maybe less ideological, but still totally authoritarian. Scenario 3. The younger officers take over. This could lead to an even more aggressive, militarized state. Or Scenario 4. All these pressures, internal, external, popular, they all converge and finally push the regime onto a path where it just collapses. The key takeaway here, the fall of the current leadership is no guarantee of democracy.
Now, to really understand what's at stake here, what this is all really about, I want you to think about one number, 150. What's so special about 150?
Well, it's because, as Roya Hakian so powerfully puts it, this isn't just about 2022 or 2009. Iranians have been fighting for the rule of law in their country for more than 150 years. This struggle we're watching today, it's just the latest chapter in a very, very long journey for freedom. A journey that, as she says, needs to get to its final happy destination.
And that really brings us to the final, critical question. With pressure coming from every conceivable direction, the system is cracking. There's no doubt about that. But what rises from the rubble? Will this generations-long fight finally result in a new, free Iran? Or, after all the sacrifice, will the people on the streets just end up trading one boss for another?